Chemistry 0620, Cambridge IGCSE, part of topic 1, mixtures and diffusion. So, let's begin by defining what is a mixture. A mixture is two or more substances mixed together that are not chemically bonded and can be separated by physical means. A mixture can be made from either a solid, a liquid, or gas, which are the three states of matter. So solution is a type of mixture that is composed of two or more substances formed when a substance, solute, dissolves into another substance, solvent. So a solution is made of two things, a solute and a solvent. The solute is a solid substance that has dissolved in a liquid, which is the solvent, to form a solution. And the solvent is that liquid which is going to dissolve that solute. For example, you have a cup of water and you sprinkle salt inside it. So what you're adding solid substances inside the liquid. The solid substances that you're adding inside the liquid is your solute. It is the substance that is going to dissolve in the solvent, which is the water. So water is your solvent, and the salt is going to dissolve in the water. The solute is going to dissolve in the solvent. Suspension and precipitation reaction. Suspension is a mixture with small particles of an insoluble solid or droplets of insoluble liquids spread throughout the liquid. So basically, insoluble solids are solids that do not dissolve. So let's say you place or you sprinkle some solids into a liquid. Some solids that may not dissolve are going to be insoluble solids in that solvent. So that is called a suspension. Precipitation reaction is a reaction in which an insoluble salt is prepared from a solution of two soluble salts. This solid salt dissolves in a liquid mixture called salt solution. Let's go through some solution facts. 2/3 of the Earth's surface is covered by a solution of various salts and water. Again, some of these might not be needed for the external exam, of course, I'm just giving these as fun facts. Water is the most common solvent. Organic solvents dissolve substances that don't dissolve in water. When solute dissolves in a solvent, solute particles are completely dispersed in a liquid. This one's very important. When a solute dissolves in a solvent, this means that the solute is not insoluble, it's soluble. This means that it is completely immersed and dispersed inside the solvent. Alloy is a mixture of two or more metals that basically makes metal harder. Solubility of solids in liquids. So basically, you just need to understand two keywords here, the concentrated and dilute solution. Concentrated solution is a solution with a high solution of proportion of solute. It means it's a solution with a high number of solute, okay, and low water potential. Dilute solution is a solution with less number of solute molecules and high water potential. If we keep adding more solid, a point is reached when no more will dissolve, and that temperature and a saturated solution will form. So basically, when a solid is dissolved and is basically dispersed within the liquid, it is a soluble solid. Now, if you keep adding more solid, a point will be reached, of course, where no more solid can dissolve because you've already dissolved enough solid. When this point is reached, it forms a saturated solution, a solution that contains as much as dissolved solid as possible at a particular temperature. Of course, changing the temperature might increase the rate of absorption of the solute molecules into the solvent and might result in more space for more solute molecules to be added into your solvent solution. Some keywords. Soluble is a solute that dissolves in a particular solvent. Means soluble is the ability to be dissolved. Okay, this substance can be dissolved in the solution. Insoluble is the opposite. It cannot be dissolved. Something cannot be dissolved in the solution. Miscible is when two liquids form a completely uniform solution. Basically, a miscible liquid is a liquid forming two soluble together. Concentrations and solubility. Concentration is a measure of how much solute is dissolved in a particular amount of solvent. Solubility is a measure of how much solute dissolves in a solvent at a particular temperature. Solubility of the gases in liquids. So gases are less soluble in water at high temperature as solubility of gases increases with pressure. For example, sparkling drinks contain carbon dioxide dissolved under pressure. True. Hence, they fizz when pressure is released by opening container. Yep. So basically, these carbonated drinks that you see, like for example, Pepsi or Coke, usually when you open the container or the cap, there's usually a fizz and there is usually these bubbles or color form of foam. That's usually because carbon dioxide is dissolved under pressure. So as soon as you open it, there is a pressure that is released, which causes this fizz motion. And they go flat in the container is from left side to open. Diffusion. Diffusion in liquids, which is the process by which different fluids mix as a result of random motion of particles. In simple terms, diffusion is the movement of particles from a high concentration to a low concentration, moving down the concentration gradient without using energy. Instead, they use Brownian motion. The main idea of diffusion in liquids is that particles move from a region of high concentration to low concentration. Particles are evenly spaced. Diffusion occurs on its own. There's no energy input required. It occurs using Brownian motion of gas particles. There is no diffusion in solids as particles cannot move. Of course, solid particles are not able to move. There is no Brownian motion in solid particles, so there is no diffusion in solid particles. Diffusion is faster at higher temperatures, of course, because at higher temperatures the particles have more kinetic energy, so they are able to transport from a high concentration to a low concentration at a much faster rate. Going to the next page. So diffusion, for example here, the spreading of solid particles throughout the liquid. As you can see, these are the solid particles placed inside the liquids, and step by step they begin to spread. Diffusion in a solution is important when solid is in gas. As you can see here, that there's a high concentration of all of the solid particles bunched together. Here it begins to evenly spread among the solvent. Because diffusion contributes to movement of oxygen from the lungs into the blood and carbon dioxide from the blood to the lungs. Diffusion in gases. So atoms and molecules of gases, of course, gases have Brownian motion. These, since the particles are farther apart, they have more energy and more speed. So move at high speeds, but speed at which gas diffuses depends on the relative mass. So of course, gases are definitely moving at high speed. But when you have two gases and you want to determine which gas is actually diffusing faster, what you're going to look at is the relative molecular mass measured in atomic mass units, or the molar mass of the compound or of the gas measured in gram per mole, to see whichever one is lighter will of course have a faster rate of movement, allowed to be diffused faster among the solvent. The main idea of diffusion in gases is that at the same temperature, molecules with a lower mass obviously will diffuse faster as they have more kinetic energy and less energy is required to make them diffuse. Rate of diffusion is inversely related to the mass of particles. Of course, greater the mass, less speed. Average speed of particles increases with an increase in temperature because more kinetic energy, more particles, more collisions, and overall resulting in more speed of particles, allowing for better and more efficient diffusion. Heavier gas particles move more slowly than lighter particles at the same temperature. Yes, of course, because heavier particles, let's say you have two men, one weighs 120 kilograms, one weighs 60 kilograms. The one that weighs 105 kilograms, of course, he's going to have more mass to carry on, so he's obviously going to be slower as there is more energy input required to move himself, while the other one is going to be lightweight, allowing himself to transfer himself from point A to point B with ease. The same applies here. The lighter molecules are obviously lighter, so as you apply heat or kinetic energy, they're able to collide and move faster, allowing for better and faster diffusion. Larger molecules diffuse more slowly than smaller ones. Obviously, we said that. We are constantly being bombarded by nitrogen and oxygen molecules. Okay, this is just a short fact or fun fact. And yep, that is pretty much it for topic 1, diffusion and mixtures in chemistry 0620. Any questions, comments below.